special meeting of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. Our agenda today is just simply to conduct some interviews. And they're not really, I wouldn't consider them to be like a formal interview where you have to sort of give us a, the incredible background in your life from the day you were 12. This is more of a, just get to know you a little better. We're not intending to make the appointment today. We're just intending to get to know you a little better and find out a little bit about you. It's not, feel relaxed. This is not, really a formal situation. It is a formal situation because we have to air it and we have to do all these things. But in other words, it's just us trying to get to know you a little better before we make that appointment. It is an important appointment. So the first thing I was asked is in which order we'll talk to you. I don't have any particular order. Do we draw names or what?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that was determined to be a good way to do it, a random way, and we've got the names in a little hat here, and Desiree's prepared when you're ready to pull the names.
Pledge.
Some of us can use a hat more than others.
Pledge.
Let's do the pledge first.
Well, let's do the pledge, okay, yeah.
Might as well, right?
Might as well.
Jennifer.
Supervisor
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice
Thank
for all.
you. And I'm not gonna be able to live that one down for a while. I know your sister's name is Jennifer.
Tonia.
Okay, so which one, where are we pulling it from? Who is pulling you are pulling the name?
And Mr. Chairman, we would ask that the other candidates,
Oh,
when
That's
someone's
right.
being interviewed, that they move into the lobby area, and I can escort you in there, and we'll come get you one at a time.
yeah, that'd be a little better. It won't give you anybody an edge to
Chairman, we
think
can
too
have
much.
them all leave right now and then just bring back in whoever's pulled.
Yeah.
Let's do that, okay?
Oh, and I'll show you
So the deputy sheriff that is here, you stay here and you better not, pass these questions along. You get to ask one
Sonny,
question
no
from
questions from Sonny.
Supervisor Simmons.
Yeah.
That's it. What are you doing here? You get to ask that question. What am I doing here?
Well, he's actually working for a change.
Oh. Ouch.
All right, let's get going.
Is the speakers on outside where they can hear the others?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Can we ask one question as long as we ask a different question, as long as we ask the same question from everybody? Okay, I got a question that I want to.
Yeah. And they have to be in the same order.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, that's what they did when we did the interviews.
Ready for me to grab the first name? Rosalie Stafford.
Bring her in.
Any questions before I get her?
No?
Okay.
Have you ever met her before?
Hey, Tony, you can ask all the questions.
We're gonna take one question each. And we're gonna, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 questions, so we're gonna ask, Supervisor Porchas, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So we're gonna go this way. We're going to go, somebody's gonna have to ask 2 questions. It would
I'll
be,
do 2.
you do 2. I'll do 2 because I got 1 for the last one.
Just go straight down the way and back around.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go back to you and do another one.
Okay.
Okay. Is Martin's not
Martin is
going
gonna
to
ask the 4th question. Hey, Martin, do you have the questions with you? You may not have the
Yes, I do. Okay, I'll get number 4.
Okay, you get number 4, and then Lynn, you get number 1
And 6.
and 6. You get number 2. She's gonna do 1 and 6. Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. No, it's fine.
Okay, 1 and 6. Okay.
All right. Ms. Stafford, happy to meet you. We do have all your information. We have the letter that you submitted and the information you submitted. So what we're gonna do is, we got a list of 6 questions plus 1 that I'll ask at the end. So we're gonna go through them in the same manner, the same way, so that everybody gets the same opportunity to answer in that sequence. And the first question is gonna be from Supervisor Lynn Pancarthy.
Good morning. How are you? My first question is, please explain your interest in the county recorder's position and what makes you a well qualified for the position? You want me to repeat that?
No,
Okay.
I understand. Why am I interested?
Yes.
Because it is a very important position. Yuma County is as big as some states. It's got a diverse population, all kinds of different people. And they all have to be served equally well. I believe that I am the right person to do that. Every interaction I've ever had with the recorder's office has been wonderful. I brought in paperwork with little mistakes and they pointed them out to me and let me resubmit. They're very knowledgeable. Every time I go in there, I ask more questions. Because I'm a writer and a researcher, I've spent a lot of time on Eagle Web. I know my way around Eagle Web. I know you've got a lot of databases, and I'm looking forward to learning them. I'm a problem solver. I like collecting lots of information, arranging it, and finding the very best solution for whatever problem it is.
Thank you.
Supervisor Lyons?
Thank you for being with us here today. Please tell us your understanding of some of the most important responsibilities of the Office of the County Recorder.
Well, I would divide it into two equally important parts. One is keeping track of all of the legal documents, all the deeds, the wills, everything that goes through the office must be maintained in a legal manner. Otherwise, I mean, it's like it never existed. If you can't find it, it doesn't exist. And equally important is the Office of Election Services, because we live in a democracy, and it's vitally important that every person's voice be heard. No one should be left out. I really can't say which of those two aspects is more important. I'd say that they're equally important.
Thank you.
My question is if you can briefly explain how your experience or expertise in managing staff and delegating tasks will benefit the county recorder's office.
I missed a little bit of that, sir.
Okay, I'm going to do it slowly. Briefly explain how your experience or expertise in managing staff and delegating tasks would benefit the county recorder's office.
I taught for decades, and my expertise is in getting the very best work possible out of my students. Now, you might think, nobody wants to write a paper. Well, that's true. Nobody does want to write a paper, but I always managed to engender enthusiasm and create not just people wanting to be their best self, but people wanting to help each other. I did a lot of group projects. For instance, in one project, I tasked my students with writing a white paper concerning emergency, say an EMP happened, and the power went down and the hospitals were closed and transportation was down. Divided them into groups, and they all took one aspect of this hypothetical emergency and spent a semester on it, writing what ended up to be a very good handbook of emergency response. So not just inspiring each individual to excel, but inspiring people to work together. Okay.
That's good. Supervisor Porcias.
Okay. What would your goals be for your first 6 months in office?
Well, from day one, I would start learning the nuts and bolts of the tasks. I would also work at, where should I face? Where are you, sir?
He's
can just
not,
face here.
he's
The
in
face,
there,
the face to
yeah.
Horace.
Face-
He's on
okay.
the phone, so you can't see him.
Yes, I know that, but I didn't know.
Where the speaker was? Up there.
Okay, all right, learning the nuts and bolts, and also creating, establishing relationships with the people who have anything to do with this office, because it does not exist in a vacuum. The recorder is a part of the whole county system, and there's got to be a good communications between that office and the others, and a good personal working relationship. So I would start that from day one and hopefully improve every day.
Thank you. Supervisor Simmons?
From your perspective, what are the biggest challenges in election administration in Arizona, and how would you approach voter education in the community?
That is a big question. Voter education, let's start with that. You know, I'm an educator. There are many ways to provide information to people. There's the traditional forms, radio and TV. There's also social media. There are community meetings. A lot of people belong to particular community clubs, and we could approach them through that. An informed and educated electorate is really of paramount importance in a democracy. And other than education, there was another part to your question, sir.
What are the
What are the challenges?
Oh, well, as we all know, we are in a period of terrific divisiveness and partisanship. The person who has this position has got to be an ambassador, someone who can work to bring people together. We've got to work together. There can be no hint of partisanship, even though it is actually an elected office, and the person appointed must be a Republican. It would be the worst thing possible for the appointee to be whispered about, oh, well, she's or he is actually a Republican and is pushing that. No, the person in this office must be impartial, nonpartisan, follow the law, and treat everyone with the respect that we all deserve.
All right.
Okay. Number 6 is, would you be planning to run for the position for a full term in the 2024 election cycle?
I believe so. I think that after putting 2 years and some months into it, you would have a lot invested in me. And it would be kind of foolish to just walk away from it and have you start over.
Thank you.
So I'm going to allow Supervisor Lyons to ask another question.
What type of managerial experience do you have?
I have managed myself, and I've managed my students. I have never managed an office.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask a question that I intend to ask everyone. I represent South County, so it's the southern portion of the county, which is always very interesting. So how familiar are you with the southern portion of the county, its culture, its ethnicity, its voting systems?
Because I normally live on the family farm in East County in the Welton Mohawk Valley, I don't spend a lot of time in South County. However, I have friends in South County. My mother, of course, was a first-generation American, and she came from the Tucson area, And I am familiar, of course, with the culture. I have a few friends, but I don't actually hang out there.
Right. I'm gonna, we've got to, we got to be the same with everyone. So if nobody has any more questions, then I think we better, there's always some follow-up questions that could come up based on the questions we already asked. If there's something that you think is missing or some sort of an explanation, one of those questions, this would be the time. If not, I'll thank you very much for, taking the time and coming over and letting us know about yourself. We appreciate it. We really do. Thank you
for your time. It is fascinating to see how government works at the local level. I really treasure this.
Thank
Thank you. Should I go out that way? Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, we'll pull another name.
Richard Veneman.
There was 5 people here. Was somebody missing?
Who?
Oh, what? Oh, I don't think I saw it.
Yeah, he wasn't here. Well, the group that was here, I think he was the one that was missing.
I think so myself, because I think the other one was the other Richard Cowell. He wasn't here, was he?
Mr. Benjamin's not present.
Okay.
Next name? Richard Colwell.
Oh, okay.
But we trade one Richard for another Richard.
Mhm. That's fine.
Mr. Cowell, good morning. Morning.
Good morning.
Staff.
Well, first of all, we'd like to begin by thanking you for your interest and for, just going through the process. Sometimes we start off and we don't necessarily realize all it's going to take or the process that's going to take place. We appreciate the fact that you were able to make the time to be here this morning. And we have the same questions for everybody. So we'll begin by having Supervisor Lynn Pancrase starts with the first question. And if you want to expand on the answer or something,
Good
be free to
morning.
do so.
How are you? Let me begin. Please explain your interest in the county recorder's position and what makes you well qualified for the position.
Well, my interest is, obviously, I want to do this job. And I will tell you that I learned about the vacancy a couple of weeks ago. And I had actually talked to a couple of friends who had been approached to see if they were interested in it. And honestly, I knew they would be good qualified candidates, but I found out eventually that they weren't interested. And that's when I said, you know what? I have the qualifications and the skill set to do that. And you saw my application was at the last minute because, my resume, because I was hurrying to get there. I feel I'm capable to do this job because I have over 20 years experience in government. I started out at the Yuma Police Department. From there, I went to Arizona Western College, where I was the director of the Law Enforcement Academy. In 2011, I was selected as the chief deputy clerk, and I worked there as the chief deputy for 7 years until I basically pulled the pin. In all those jobs, that's where I gained my experience in management. I've been involved at the police department. I handled all the administrative functions of the department from 1998 to 2004. That involved hiring and recruitment, budget, internal affairs, the facilities, the public information officer. That's where I got my exposure to management. And then at the college, as the director of the academy, you run the whole program from start to finish. And then as the chief deputy clerk, that's where I got my exposure. Technically, the clerk of the court's a state employee, but the county administers their pay and benefits. So you were in both worlds. I've got a lot of background in personnel and liability issues. Had to dealing with performance issues that end up terminating people. So I'm comfortable I know what I'm doing in any of that. That's it.
What is your understanding of some of the most important responsibilities of the Office of County Recorder?
I know there are 3 sections in it. There's the recorder itself, which is basically, it goes on all the time. And then there's voter registration and early voting, and then there's election services. And as far as getting into the intricacies of all those, I honestly can't explain it because I don't know that stuff. I will tell you, I've talked to Robin. I've known Robin for a lot of years. I knew her before she was the recorder, and she's been pretty generous actually with her time because she's on vacation over there in San Diego. She explained all the sections. I know the election services has their own director, even though it falls under the recorder. The biggest challenge in that office, honestly, will be the elections. I mean, the recorder stuff goes on every day. The stuff that's going to get you on the front page of the paper is probably the election stuff. I know they're right in the mix of it right now. I mean, early voting has already started. You brought this up at the supervisors meeting the other day that you don't know that this is a good time to come in as the recorder. Honestly, it is, because it's like, look, I can get all the systems are already in place and they're already running. So it's like, okay, it's a good time to come in and see how it's working versus waiting until months later and having it explained to you after the fact when you can't see it in operation.
Thank you, Richard.
You bet.
Okay. My question is to briefly explain how your experience or expertise in managing staff and delegating tasks will benefit the county recorder's office. And I want to say, you don't have to repeat yourself. Some of these questions get answered as the answer to another question. So you don't have to go over and give us your experience in time. I think you did that at the beginning. So don't feel obligated to respond with the same thing over. You can,
bad because I can only wing it so far.
Yeah, and I feel the same way with the supervisors. If your question's already been answered, it really doesn't add anything to ask the same question when you already got the answer. But if you feel there's something you left that are missing on your background that you would like us to know, this would be the time.
Usually the stuff you forget, you remember right after you're leaving when you're walking out the door.
Isn't that the truth?
All right. So Supervisor Porchas, your turn. And I think.
What would your goals be for your first 6 months in office?
My goal will be is I have to have a quick learning curve. I know Robin's last day is next Friday, technically. And what I've learned as a manager is not to go in and change everything. If I'm selected for this position, what I'm going to do for those is pretty much look, listen, and learn, and decide and understand the operations of the office. She has a staff of 14 people. She said they're well competent, they're fully functional, so there's not any staff issues. So my first 6 months will be learning the ins and outs of the job, becoming familiar with the people, and just watching what's going on. I have no intention. I've worked in government for a lot of years. That's not my individual office. If I'm selected to do it, it's an office that I've been entrusted to run, and you have to run it professionally. But the first 6 months is basically me learning the details of the job.
Okay. Supervisor Simmons.
From your perspective, what are the biggest challenges in election administration in Arizona, and how would you approach voter education in the community?
I think everybody knows the controversies about elections all across the country, maybe not necessarily in Yuma. The most important thing is that you follow the statutes. I know Title 16 covers electors and elections. Just make sure whatever you're doing, you're in compliance with the statutes. Robin has told me, this last time she's had people complain and venting. You got to listen to them. You listen to them and you offer an answer that you can provide to them. And how I want to put it. She even said that she received some threatening emails. If that happens, I'll just deal with it accordingly. Having my background in police officer, I've been threatened before, and I'd have to assess it and decide, okay, is this real or not? But the challenge is really for elections to just make sure you're maintaining the integrity of them. Don't deviate from the statutes. There's a voluminous elections procedures manual that Robin sent me, and I didn't print it because it's 544 pages. I'm probably going to be diving into that. I would be relying on the director, the elections director there, to give me some insight as to what that's all about. But and if we have to, we make public statements about the elections. If you're hearing that there's a lot of concerns about what's going on, get through the county and the media and make public statements to ease people's uneasiness about it or uncertainty about something.
Right. We're going to go cycle again to Lynn, Supervisor Pancracy. You answered question number 6.
Would you be planning to run for the position for a full term in the 2024 election cycle?
Yes, I wouldn't waste your time or mine just to come in here and be a seat filler for 2 years and then just not come back. Honestly, it'll take me 2 years to get comfortable and fully knowledgeable in the job. So yes, I would.
All right, I have a 7th question that is kind of more towards my district. I represent a District 7.
You still have to
You know,
ask
it's
it.
South County.
Tony, he still has to ask
Oh,
his
yeah.
questions.
All right.
Well, and for the most part, Richard, you've answered it, just talking about the managerial, unless you want to highlight anything else there. I think that's probably one of the most important aspects.
Is the managerial?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got that background. That's not new to me.
Right.
I'm familiar with county rules and policies. I've worked around statutes my entire career, so that the statutes actually protect you.
Sure.
As long as you're following them.
Thank you.
And another statement about my managerial style, my leadership style. I'm a participatory leader. I like having my people involved in it. I'm not an autocrat that's going to get up on the table and say this will be done this way and there will be no deviation. I like to have my people engaged because I think if you have happy people, they're productive.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, that goes back again to the fact that some of those questions might have already been answered, but I do have to go through the sequence the same way. So you'll be 7. I had myself in the 7. And basically my question had to do with South County and how familiar you are with South County, both ethnically and the way that, voting takes place over there. A lot of people just don't have any sense at all of what happens in that area in terms of the election process.
I'm not going to stand there and try to wing it. I would have to learn about that. The majority of my existence is up in the main Yuma County area. I'm familiar with San Luis as far as how I would approach them the same way as I would the rest of the voters and the citizens in Yuma County. Obviously, I would consult people that are familiar with how things are done down there. If I'm unfamiliar with it, I'm like, hey, I'm walking into a hornet's nest here. I'm gonna ask for somebody to even accompany me if we have to go to meetings or what have you.
I wanted to get beyond the language barrier because that's for voters, that's not an issue. It's more like in San Luis, there's no regular home delivery. There's no, there's a couple of things that make those areas a little bit more difficult to handle, especially for the recorder's office. And I wanted to sort of utilize this particular time to sort of let the candidate know that there are some differences in how you deal with different areas, especially on the cultural side and on the ethnic side, on the.
And I know that, and I honestly would be consulting Robin a lot about that. It's nice that she's staying. I know she's going over to the county, but she's not far. And because I've even had that discussion with her about things that I said, okay, now that you're leaving, what would you have liked to do that you didn't get done? And she gave me a couple of answers, but I would certainly be willing to do whatever it takes to make sure we get the outreach to the South County.
All right. Any other questions, guys? I mean, I know we're not supposed to ask other questions, but any follow-ups on the questions you have already asked? Richard, thank you very much for taking the time. Thank you for your answers, and yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care.
Shelley Barron.
Mhm.
The website. Go to Firefox. Just double click it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll wait for Tony to.
Right. Well, first of all, thank you, Shelley, for taking the time and wanting to do this job. It's not easy. I know that people may consider that to be them to be kind of relatively easy jobs. It is not. It's one of the toughest jobs that you could have, and we just wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to see how, answer some questions that are the same for everybody to give us a better sense of the candidate. So we'll begin with, Supervisor Pancrase, who is moving away from her location.
So your coffee's gonna have to wait.
Coffee's gonna have to wait, sorry.
So we'll begin with a set of, I think it's 7 or 8 questions. And again, you don't have to answer the question and answer again. I mean, some of these questions sort of get an answer.
Okay.
And, we still have to sort of ask them to follow the same procedure, but you don't have to, explain yourself twice when you have already explained something that the new question refers to, okay?
Understand, yes.
All right, fine.
Okay.
So
Hi,
we'll
Shelley.
begin with Supervisor Pancrase.
Please explain your interest in the county recorder's position and what makes you well qualified for the position.
First off, I want to say, Chairman Reyes and members of the board, I want to thank you all for your time today and your consideration, and it's an honor to be here. So to repeat that question, what makes me right for this position and why do I want to be here?
Yes.
Well, I know you have looked over my resume and my cover letter, and clearly everything that I have done up until this point has prepared me for this leadership role, I feel. I have served this community in many different levels. I was a firefighter, as it shows on my resume, and then a school teacher, which both of those positions prove that I can take on any challenge. I mean, we all know what it is to be a school teacher or have somewhat of an idea, and same with a firefighter. I know I can take on anything. I have lived around this country with a military family, raised 3 daughters, and then had a calling to serve my country and serve my community. And so I took on the challenge of becoming a firefighter with a family, which overcame a lot of trials and tribulations, to say the least. Was a lot for my family, and it has been one of my biggest accomplishments to date. So there is nothing I can't take on, and I know that. And that's why I want to take on this challenge and serve the Yuma community in a leadership capacity. And so that is why I am here today. Sorry for my nerves right now. I know. I'm going to start dancing. Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. Second question, Supervisor Lyons?
Based on your understanding, what do you think some of the most important responsibilities of the county recorder are?
Some of the most important responsibilities of a county recorder are, first of all, transparency to the public, to your team, to the county, to the board. Transparency is key to getting any job done efficiently and effectively. Transparency and sticking to policies and procedures. The policies and procedures will save you in any circumstance. As long as you stick to what needs to be done, you will always be safe. Like I said, clear communication is key to everything in life. Relationships, career, job, anything and everything. And those are values I hold very deep, and at the end of the day, respect. Respect my team, respect the community, respect is key to life, I feel, so.
Thank you.
Can you briefly explain how your experience or expertise in managing staff and delegating tasks will benefit the county recorder's office?
All right, so that also comes to respect. Another big word I use a lot in the classroom, a lot with my own family. It's about respect. Respect and listening to what they have to say. Understanding that the team is a team of experts, and they will teach me a lot. I am there to guide and support them and give them what they need, but they are the experts. They will be teaching me a lot. There will be a lot I will be learning, especially in the first 90 days, especially with an election coming up. A lot I will be learning. I will be learning, I will be learning, and I will be learning. So I will lead by respecting and listening more than I talk sometimes. Sometimes I tend to talk a lot. But one thing the fire service has taught me is to shut up and listen, and you will learn a lot.
I know you want to ask a follow-up question. So
No, it was a follow-up comment. Nothing compared to what Tony's talking about.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Look, you're in the right.
So, but that is one thing, and
notice how he didn't say anything and he said something? That's because he likes to talk. All right. So
and that does bring me to a funny point about the fire service. I entered the fire service at an older age, midlife, some would say, and it taught me to shut my mouth, humbled me to no ends, and just listen. Because you can't read everything in a textbook. You just have to shut your mouth and listen. And experience is so paramount to running your mouth thinking you know everything.
You hear that?
So.
Thank you, Shelley, for that nugget of information.
Can we get a ruling?
Sometimes I like being on the end of the office.
Supervisor Portia, save Supervisor, save me.
Okay, hi. What would your goals be for your first 6 months in office?
First 6 months in office. Again, my goals will be, first of all, I will be learning a lot.
Yeah.
I will be listening and not talking as much, but I will be learning a lot. My goals will be to oversee this election, first of all, and get through that. Learn a lot from that. I will be learning a lot from my mentor. I know it would be, I know I have huge shoes to fill, but I'm comforted in that because I have an amazing mentor. I've been able to meet the team. I've talked with Robin, of course, and I know she would be a huge support. So I know I can get through the first 6 months. Second would be, I would be networking a lot. I would be reaching out, getting those connections, building those relationships. Sorry, I don't want to say. Mm-hmm. Seeing the different counties, meeting the different county recorders, seeing how they do it. It's going to be 6 months. It's going to be a year. It's going to be years of learning. I believe you can never stop learning. Always room for growth. So the first 6 months will be a busy first 6 months. Busy year. I'm ready for that, prepared for that. I've informed my family of that. It's going to be a lot, but definitely a lot of learning, a lot of educating myself, getting through this would be my first elections, and growing from there. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chair. Yes. Supervisor Simmons?
Hey, from your perspective, what are the biggest challenges in election administration in Arizona, and how would you approach voter education in the community?
So the biggest challenges, I would say, is the public listening to the media too much, and learning and then educating the public on how simplifying the process by educating the public and being transparent with the public and reaching out to the college, reaching out to even high schools, even at a middle school level, reaching out at a lower level so it can go home to their families. I'm very aware of how vital. Well, let me rephrase that. I know how much an 8th grader goes home and tells mom and dad. So when they learn something in school and you make it exciting, they're going to go home and tell you all about it. And wait, mom, dad, no, this is okay. This is right. They're trying to help us. And so it's important to reach out even to young children and all the way up, of course. Reach out to businesses, big businesses. Like I said, also Arizona Western College, huge, important asset to our community. And so it's about reaching out and informing the public that what they hear on the news isn't always accurate, per se. Can't believe everything you hear on the news. Take what you see on social media with a grain of salt. I'm not a huge fan of social media and how messages are delivered on it. I personally will always take it with a grain of salt if I even look at it. So I would, if I'm getting arrows thrown at me, I will go back to my policies and procedures, and I will perform ethically always and do the best that I can and educate the public with these policies and procedures, explaining why it's done this way. Invite them in to the testing, to see this is how it's done. You test and you retest. We want nothing to slip through the cracks. So that is how I would deal with that situation.
Thank you. We'll go back to Supervisor Pancrazzi for a 6th question.
Shelley, would you be planning to run for the position for a full term in the 2024 election cycle?
So I am standing here today because I know I can be a leader in this community, and I would be a great asset of a leader to this community. Again, I am comforted with the fact that I have a mentor that is one of the best. And I know with her and I, as working together, we can go above and beyond. There is no doubt in my mind, if I am given this position, I will continue on to the election.
Thank you. Supervisor Lyons?
Let's talk about managerial experience. Where have you learned managerial experience, and what type of managerial experience do you have?
So recently, as in my current position, I think some of the hardest people to manage is 8th graders. And if you don't have that under control, if you don't have your classroom under control, nothing will get done. And it goes more than just standing up and teaching. There is so much paperwork, in a sense, not as much paper, but computer paperwork that you have to manage, you have to keep up with. And even more than the classroom, you are in charge of that classroom. You are the commander of that classroom, which means you also have to manage outside of the classroom. There's people you have to manage that come into your classroom, that oversee your classroom, but you are ultimately in charge of that classroom. Also, being a firefighter, you have to manage your scene, your situation, your crews. Even though even if you're not the captain, the battalion chief, the chief, you still have an independence to manage. You still have a duty, you still have a task, you're still given this job to do, and you have to manage that job, whether it's people that you have to manage to help you get that job done, but there is management all in the fire service. And I've had amazing leaders manage me that I have learned from. So Yuma County Fire Department, or City of Yuma Fire Department and Rural Metro has some phenomenal leaders that I've learned a lot of management and leadership from.
Thank you.
My question has more to do with my district. It is South District. This is Southern County. So is Supervisor Porches, who I'm sure is listening. And I just wanted to get a sense of how familiar you are with the ethnicity, with the environment down there.
So, like I said, I'm going to refer back to being a firefighter in this county. I have been in so many homes in every part of this county. I had a brief stint with Rural Metro, so I know our county line. I have done emergency traffic to Spot Road. It goes all the way to Spot Road and a little bit past. It goes all the way to the border of San Luis. So I have dealt with a wide variety of different ethnicities, and basically we are all one. We treat everyone as an equal. Like I said, I've been in many homes. It has enlightened my world to how different, but yet we all are the same in a lot of ways. We all have the same core. We all want greater, for the most part, better and greater for our families and our lives. So I have, and as a firefighter, being inside someone's home, it's an experience like nothing else. Because you kind of take a step back, you look at situation or scene safety. So you kind of look around the room, but you learn a lot when you do that about the different cultures and the diversity, and then you conquer what you're there for, their emergency. It's their emergency. It might not have been an emergency to me, but it's their emergency. You still have to respect that. You have to respect their home. You have to respect who they are and their values. So I have a great respect for everyone in this community and beyond.
Thank you, Sherry. I think that's all the questions we had. Any follow-ups on any of the questions? If not, thank you very much.
Okay, and thank you. And like I said, thank you, Chairman Reyes and members of the board and everyone here today. I appreciate your time, and it truly is an honor to be here. And I look forward to the future, hopefully with the county as the county recorder. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. You guys have a wonderful week, and everyone's going on vacation, I think, right?
Get to take your water. Well, we may make a decision. It's in the agenda.
Okay.
So
Do we need to wait around, or?
Up to you. Really, you would be told anyway.
I don't know.
Old City Hall.
If you want to wait, you can wait. You're welcome to. If not,
But either way, we'll hear an answer.
we'll hear.
Thank you.
Thank you. We got two left, right?
Laura De Leon.
Every candidate has his style. Every one of them kind of focuses on something, and that's what they're going to focus on.
Lorna.
Okay, I don't like this little flip thing in the back.
I know. I particularly don't like the
How
whole
come?
thing, but
Because if you make any movement, it just
it's
falls.
Tips over.
Wonder if they've got some type of a thing to put between there so it won't collapse.
Oh, yeah, they used to have those little,
This
Can
will
I get a
save you
wireless
sometimes.
mouse? Yeah.
oh, I,
Good morning.
How are you? Good morning.
We have a set of questions that we're going to ask. There's 7 or 8 questions sometimes, I think, 7 or 8 questions. And we'll begin by having them ask. It's the same questions for every candidate. We first of all begin by actually telling you how much we appreciate the fact that you took out the time and that you want to do this job. And there's some of these questions are going to be answered. And then they're going to be asked again in some other form. So if you felt you already answered the question, don't dwell too much on the answer and repeat yourself too long because you already answered the question. It's just that we ask them in a certain sequence and we have to ask them the same way for everybody. So bear with us, have patience, and we'll begin with Supervisor Pancrazi's question.
Good morning. Please explain your interest in the county recorder's position and what makes you well qualified for the position.
My interest is that I feel that with the amount of years that I've had working with the county that I have, I'm on my 27th year. I feel that I have worked in numerous departments, and I feel confident enough to be able to do the position. What was the second question? Sorry.
Why you're interested in the county recorder's position and how you're qualified.
I'm interested because I want to make a difference. I'm coming from Mexican American descent. I feel that I would be making history here. Not only that, but I strongly feel very, I'm nervous, excuse me. Yeah. Yes, I am. I also feel that with my community, I've been engaged with a lot of things throughout the years that I've worked with the county, with the community, and I feel that I would do an excellent job in providing service for my community.
Thanks.
Supervisor Lyons?
What do you understand to be some of the most important responsibilities with the Yuma County Recorder?
The most important responsibilities I feel are being there not only for my staff, but also for the community. Our community is very important, especially the Hispanic community, because sometimes there's a lot of things that they are not familiar with and aren't knowledgeable. And being able to direct them in the right direction to have them understand and comprehend some of the things. Right now that I work at the assessor's office, I actually deal a lot with a lot of people that come in that aren't duly knowledgeable about certain documents that they submit and whatnot, but we're there, that's what we're there for, is to help them, understand them, and educate them the best way possible so they don't leave like they literally don't understand something.
Thank you.
I answered your question.
Could you briefly explain how your experience and expertise in managing staff and delegating tasks would benefit the Yuma County Recorder's Office?
Like I stated earlier, this is my 27th year. I worked with juvenile court for 24 years. I actually supervised the detention aspect of it. I was a detention duty officer. And I feel that what's in place, if it's not broke, why try to fix it? But actually being able to work not only with the staff and in various positions, being that it's shift work and also dealing with the juveniles that are there, because that's a big task. But I've actually have earned the credibility of working with people because I respect them and I show them respect and I listen and include everybody in what we're going to do as far as any type of plan or project. I make sure that they understand and that we work as a team and not individually.
Okay. Well, thank you. Supervisor Porcias. He's up there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. No, yes, right here. What would be your goals in the first 6 months in office?
My goals in the first 6 months would be actually to learn the position very well, inside and out, be able to understand maybe some of the areas, because I know it's not only just the recorders, but other departments that are underneath it. But pretty much getting to know the lay of the land to understand and pretty much hit the ground running and to be able to serve my community in a better way.
Thank you. Supervisor Simmons?
From your perspective, what are the biggest challenges in election administration in Arizona, and how would you approach voter education in the community?
I've always been I think I want to say that it's not only Arizona, it's statewide. But I want to say that the way to probably approach it is educating, having not only like workshops or forums to educate the public and let them know what is not only expected of them, but of us also. And just pretty much, I've always said communication is very important, following the letter of the law, making sure that statute is followed, and being that I've worked in the court system for such a long time and law enforcement, and having that bridge with law enforcement that I actually created when I worked for juvenile court, knowing that there's laws that need to be followed and stick by them.
Right. Number 6, would you be planning? Oh, I should read that. Lynn, your
Yes.
question. Sorry.
Would you be planning to run for the position for a full term in 2024, the election cycle?
Yes. I think that it's very important. I think if it's funny that you say that. I am going to say a little story. We were coming back from Palm Springs when I saw that the announcement came out. And I told my sister, I says, oh my God, this is so awesome. I says, I'm going to run for this. I'm going to do this. And she laughed and she looked at me. She goes, I wouldn't put it past you. So in other words, I'm here for the long haul and the long run.
Okay.
All right. Number 7, Mr. Lyons, you get to ask a
You
question.
touch on it a little bit, but managerial experience specifically and how it would apply here.
I think it's important to always be a good manager. You know, manager can be appointed, but a manager can be given, and a leader has to be earned. I think that being a good manager is being a good listener, being able to kind of be the in-between and knowing what your staff is capable of and how to deal with it. Not only that, because I have dealt a lot with it. I worked at YPIC for a certain amount of years, and I was there and I was the office manager. We dealt with a lot of conflict, especially when we had the summer youth program. You had a lot of people that weren't happy because they didn't make it for the cutoff of the appointment. So dealing with irate customers, not only within your own office setting, but also with the community. I've dealt with that. I mean, I feel that any challenges comes my way, I've dealt with it, not only in a very respectful, but a professional manner. So I have very strong managerial skills that I have used in the past.
Thank you.
You know, my question is sort of answered by your resume there. You know, it's whether how familiar you are with South County, which is my district is fully in South County, so it's probably most of Supervisor Portia's district, and I just wanted to get a sense of your sense of the ethnicity, the different environment that you work with when you work in South County.
I worked in South County. I actually worked with Judge Guerrero. And working with Judge Guerrero and working in South County opened up my eyes for a lot of stuff. But not only that, when I worked at juvenile court, I also worked in South County also. And I know there's a dire need to help the community understand certain things that they're not familiar with. And I know I touched this up earlier, but being available, ready and available for the community. And not only that, being able to present things to them, open up forums or workshops or whatever, to be able to get yourself known out there. And the community in South County is very humble. And I actually enjoy working with them a lot when I worked out there.
Thank you. Thank you for the answer. And thank you for being here. And thank you for taking on the challenge. And we're taking this very seriously. And we're glad that you're taking it very seriously. And we'll let you know soon.
Thank you. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to come today, okay? And you guys have a great day.
Bye.
Mr. Chair, I just have a question. What was her name? Who was this candidate?
Laura De Leon. I'm going to repeat.
Oh, Laura. Okay.
We got one left.
Thanks.
I think her
One
name
left,
is Lacey Arenas.
We have Lacey Arena.
Next.
Okay. Thanks.
Laura Leon. I thought it would be Laura. Laura. Ms. Arenas, we want to thank you first and foremost for having the guts to come and show and to actually want to get involved in the political arena. It is to me, it's always been like a contact a little bit. Appreciate it. We appreciate it. We all appreciate it a lot. Somebody, wants to offer themselves up for some of the staff jobs. So first of all, we begin by thanking you for for you taking the opportunity to be here and for giving us the opportunity to get to know you better. We're going to ask you 7 or 8 questions, the same questions that we ask every candidate. And again, if you answer the question before, you don't have to re-answer the question. You can say, well, or we were going to try to be a little more cognizant of the fact that sometimes you answer the question in a different way, but it's still an answer to a question. So it's just 7 or 8 questions. Don't get too nervous. They're easy to answer if you just let it go. So, Mrs. Arenas, we will begin with Supervisor Pancracy.
Hi, Lacey. Lacey, please explain your interest in the county recorder position and what makes you well qualified for the position.
Chairman Reyes, members of the board, I'd just like to tell you all that I'm very thankful and honored to be here, and I appreciate your all's consideration for this position. As far as being a good fit or looking, as to where I could kind of, help fill this position for you all, I think one of the top things on my list of priorities at this point is trying to make this transition as seamless as possible. I know that the current recorder and the staff is already, incredible as it is. And so I just, feel with my experience and my motivation, and I'm naturally a very driven person. Communication, I feel like I'm a very approachable person. I am extremely coachable. I'm very inquisitive by nature. I ask a lot of questions, try to learn as much as possible in the quickest amount of time. I know that, with early voting already starting and the primary election right around the corner, it's going to be, hit the ground running. So I also know that, just with my ability just to constantly keep myself motivated and focused, I feel would be a huge value to this position for you all. So.
Supervisor Lyons?
Thanks for being here today. What do you think, in your opinion, are some of the most important responsibilities of the Office of County Recorder?
Chairman Reyes, Supervisor Lyons, I feel like the biggest responsibilities within the recorder's office is, maintaining and keeping track of voter registration. I would imagine that is a giant task in itself, and something that is constantly role that has to be played. I also realize that the office of the recorder is where documents are recorded, and also their job is to make those documents accessible to the public. So I feel like that is also a very big role. I think just being very open and transparent as an office, and hoping that the roles and the positions that are played in there are it kind of just always looked at it as a positive aspect, and I think that the office already does a very, very great job of that.
Thank you.
It's my turn. Briefly explain how your experience or expertise in managing staff and delegating tasks would benefit the county recorder's office.
So, Chairman Reyes, I feel like any successful manager, they have to be extremely driven. They have to have great communication skills. They always have to support their staff, and in this case, the community as a whole. And just kind of keep that line of communication open within everything. I don't currently manage people as a in the position that I'm in, but I manage projects, and I definitely hold a leadership role to where there's lots of different areas that kind of have to come together to hit that final goal and that deadline. And so just that alone, I feel like those qualities that are needed in a manager, I'm extremely capable of.
Right. Supervisor Porchas. Driving to a dead peak. Supervisor Porchas.
Yes.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Your turn.
What would be your goals in office in the first 6 months?
Chairman Reyes and Supervisor Porchas, thanks for that question. I honestly think that right off the bat, in a very quick manner, I would have to kind of jump in head first and try to learn as much as I can about each individual department and sit down with the supervisors and the coordinators and ultimately, hopefully, everybody, and just try to soak up as much knowledge as possible within those 6 months. Clearly, with the election, the midterm election coming up, it's going to be nice for the person appointed for the position to kind of see that process happen. Partnering, with the elections director and their staff, I think trying to just gain as much knowledge of that as possible too in those first 30, 60, 90, 6 months. I really feel like just, trying to be as open and willing to learn and constantly, asking questions and trying to figure out all these policies and procedures that are coming down the line.
Right. Supervisor Simmons.
From your perspective, what are the biggest challenges in election administration in Arizona, and how would you approach voter education in the community?
So I feel like there has been a little bit of, election issues within the state currently. I just also know that the position of the recorder and the office and the staff are, confined to certain laws. They look to Title 16 often in the elections procedures manuals, and so there's only a certain area of law that you have to practice within. So I think as a whole, there's not a lot else you can do. So the challenges that are kind of being set forth are, I think people just need to be reminded that these offices are only allowed to function within a certain the confine of these laws. So there's not, I wouldn't really know that there's a lot more conversation that needed to be happening at that point. I do know there's lots of challenges, especially right now. Election integrity is kind of been a hot topic, and just continuing to follow the rules, and we can only do what we're allowed to do. So hopefully that will suffice.
Question number 6, Supervisor Pancarcy.
Lacey, would you be planning to run for the position for a full term in the 2024 election cycle?
Chairman Reyes, Supervisor Pancrazy, I knew going into this that this appointment was, only to finish out the term of the current recorder, which would mean that I would have to run for reelection in 2024. And I'm very excited for that and very much looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Right, Supervisor Lyons.
What type of managerial experience do you have, and how would that apply here?
So I feel like I kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. Again, I just feel like my ability to keep myself motivated and very focused and driven to kind of know, there's a big picture at the end, but that we also need to stay very, detail oriented. And I realized that the position has many deadlines that have to be hit throughout the year. And so I feel like as a manager of that position, those are things that you just have to kind of keep pushing towards. And again, back to the communication thing, I think that, it's key in most situations, but especially, in a management position. I also do know that, having the support of the current recorder and you all as the Board of Supervisors and county administrator and the county attorneys, I wouldn't necessarily be going into anything blindly. So I feel like that alone would, help me be able to be the successful manager that's needed in this role.
All right. And the last question comes from me, and it has to do with the fact that I represent South County, which in most cases, it's really an odd situation for some people. How familiar are you with the people of South County, the issues in South County, the fact that the recorder has to deal with ethnicity, with languages, with barriers, those sort of things? Are you familiar with that?
So Chairman Reyes, I am to a certain extent. I know that there are different issues and different ethnicities and diversities and issues of that nature in South County. I feel like I work in a very diverse industry already, being part of the ag industry and working out at Gowan Milling with 300 plus employees, and a lot of our employees cross over the border and or live down on that side, and just being able to interact with them on the daily basis, I don't feel like that it is an issue at all.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was the last question, and you've answered them all.
Okay.
And and we again thank you for taking the time and just being able to come up here and just stand in front of us and answer some questions that I'm sure you probably thought about, but you have to answer.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate the fact that people are willing to go through this process. It's sometimes a grinding process, but it has an outcome, and we're going to try to get that today. So thank you very much for the time, and I guess on behalf of everybody, we'd like to thank you for coming down and letting us know you a little better.
Well, Chairman Reyes, members of the board, thank you. I really appreciate being here.
Right, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I just got a shot of COVID vaccine, so you can, we can.
Well, thank you.
So,
Thank you.
That means
But anyway.
a good thing. That's good that you just got.
oh, well. I'm not sure I was counting on the after effects.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
anyway, look, according to the agenda, we will move into executive session, discuss this a little briefly, and then we can discuss whether we appoint a Yuma County recorder. I think we have that in the agenda to basically, we have an agenda and a possible action to appoint. If we're not ready to appoint, we can wait till the next one. But if we're ready to appoint.
ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, well, fine then. Why don't we just have somebody make a motion that we go into
Wait,
executive session, we clear them up.
I move we go into executive session.
We don't have to, but.
Oh, I would like to.
All right, so is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, okay, there's been Lynn made the
Go with
motion,
Darren.
Supervisor Mills, and Darren made the second. So we're going to executive session. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Wait.
No, nobody opposes.
Nobody opposed.
No, we have to clear the room.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm taking this board back into regular session, and the first thing I want to begin with is how pleasantly surprised we were all about you all coming down and your qualifications and your desire to do the job. Um, and I say pleasantly surprised because sometimes you do get a group of people that are a little bit not, so much, so good. But this was an excellent group. Every one of them had something that they brought to the table. This was a discussion that had, its differences a little bit, which is to be expected. But we want to say before we announce, who we're going to appoint, that each and every one of you, could and would do a great job. And we want to thank everyone that, for coming in and having the patience to bear with us while we go through this process. I know that when we make a choice, that will be the choice, but eventually 2 years from now, the voters will make a choice, and they may make a different choice than we do. But at this particular time, after reviewing everybody that we have talked to and seeing everybody's qualification, I entertain a motion to go ahead and appoint someone for the position.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we appoint Richard Benjamin as the.
Who?
No, Richard
I'm
Benjamin
sorry.
didn't even show up.
Oh, my
I
God,
apologize.
Caldwell.
Caldwell as the Yuma County Recorder.
I'll second that.
Right, now maybe, what?
Could we put an effective date and also accept the resignation of Robin Poquette?
Can we do that under the
Can we do
current?
that second?
Yeah, so that's all, you can do it.
In one motion? Okay.
So the motion is to accept the current county recorder's, Robin Poquette's resignation effective July 18, and appoint the substitute being Richard Caldwell to fulfill the terms, beginning the 18th of
Thank you.
July. Now, you did want a point of order. You wanted to say something before
After we vote.
After you vote? Okay, well then, all those in favor of the motion.
Well, we need a second.
I seconded it.
Okay. All right.
All right, so there was a motion and a second. And I just want to emphasize how, the motion and the second is being made in a bipartisan way, because sometimes I think, and I'm so proud of this county when it comes to those things, because as divisive as the country sometimes is about, positions like this and situations like this, I don't find that to be the problem with this board. So I just wanted to say, as a chairman, it's a pleasure for me to always have this bipartisan approach to all these things. So there's been a motion and a second to appoint, to do what I just said, right? Accept the resignation and to appoint someone to the remainder of that term. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye. I think we need to take a roll call vote on this. Are you there, Supervisor Porches?
Yes, I'm still here.
All right.
Supervisor Lyons,
Aye.
Supervisor Pancrazy,
Aye.
Supervisor Simmons,
Aye.
Supervisor Porches,
Aye.
Chairman Reyes.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0.
Okay, I guess a point of order and.
Now I'd like personal point of privilege.
Okay, well.
Point of personal privilege.
Nothing
Get
like
it
somebody that
straight.
comes from the legislature that wants to,
I know.
make a point.
First of all, I want to thank all those that applied for this position. What a unique community we live in to have so many people so qualified for the recorder's position to apply for that position and to be willing to serve this community even in these difficult times. It's refreshing, and it speaks highly of Yuma County and just what a great community we are. Those that are in the audience, thank you very much for your application, and those who aren't here that applied, thank you as well. It was an amazing group of people that applied, and we thank you. And please consider serving the Yuma County in some other capacity, and
Or if you're
and keep
passionate,
looking, huh?
Yeah.
if you're
Or
very passionate
go for
about
that
it,
one.
look at
Run.
2024.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The other thing is that I don't want to leave without thanking Robin Stallsworth Poquette for her 14 years as a county recorder, and before that, as her in her positions with the county and with the city. She is an amazing person and has done an excellent job. And she will continue to do an excellent job in the new position that she's taking on, which is something new and exciting and different for her, and will give her some time to be able to grow as a person. I understand she has 6 volumes that she's going to be going through to prepare herself for that new position, and I'm excited to have her continue with the county in another capacity. But thank you, Robin, for all that you've done for Yuma County and for all you've done for this community.
And I like to say that the decision, the time it took to make the decision isn't reflective of how difficult the decision was. This was a very difficult decision, not because you two are present, but you guys made it very difficult. It wasn't like a clear-cut situation. Some of us, felt that you would be some of us felt that you, Shelley, would be a better candidate. It just, we had to make a decision, and we made one. And I think the fact that you're still waiting here and that you show all this, it's just a reflection of how
I'm just waiting.
Yeah, and even Supervisor Borges.
I don't know.
Not you, Martin.
Yeah,
We're
I
not
didn't get him. My
helping
friend
you.
got him.
No,
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you, to face you and tell you just how appreciative we are. I am, and we are, of the fact that you came up and let us know that you were interested and showed up the courage and stood in front of us and told us how you felt. I think I like to say that I know you better, and I think that you have a lot to offer. That, as mentioned before, you should, if your feeling is that there's something that you can do for Yuma County, we should find you a place to do it. And if we don't find you a place to do it, you find it yourself, because you have a lot to offer, and we really appreciate you coming up and showing us just how good you are. So thank you very much, and I think that's the end of the meeting, isn't it? Thank you very much. And